Hey guys, and welcome to the Path to Exile Podcast, Episode 7, partner with Mobilytics. I'm Cal Torek, and joining me per usual every week is Dead Rabbit and Miso Shiro. And this week we have a very special guest, but before we introduce him, quick little few things. First of all, we are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and last week we got so many ratings on Spotify. Thank you all for whoever did that. And if you haven't and you like audio podcasts, please just head over to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, give us a favor, and like us. And the other thing I want to quickly mention before, as we're the intro of the podcast, is this weekend is the first free weekend for Path of Exile 2. And if you have not played the game, I feel like now is the best time. We don't have Cruel anymore. We get the new act. A lot of cool stuff is coming. So if you haven't played the game, free weekend this weekend, come check it out. And all four of us are probably streaming like mad. You can find us there. But we have a very special guest this week. It is the man himself, Darth Microtransaction. How are you doing, sir?
Doing great. Thanks for the invite to the podcast.
You have made at least the week before the last few weeks a lot more bearable with the content drought we had for this game. Now, I want to talk about your plans for this league really quick. You have recently announced a lot of big plans for this league. You were talking about how you're going to be making guides for your community, and not just making guides, but you're going to be doing one for every ascendancy. So I'm just curious, as this podcast, if you haven't watched it before, we are a build making podcast, and a main goal of the podcast is to encourage the community to post builds. We showcase their builds on the end of the show sometimes. We really want this to just help more people get into build making. So for you, what is it that you enjoy about build making? Why are you excited to finally start making guides for your community? I will just start with that.
Well, I'm not really a massive build maker, to be honest with you. That's pretty much classically not what I do. In fact, it's pretty often the opposite, which is I'll just play the game and figure it out as I go, or I'll try somebody else's build. Last league, I played Nugi's Blood Mage build, for instance. And so I think there's only a couple guides at all for PoE2, but there's a couple things that are the reason I'm going to make them this league. One is I'm doing the Subathon, so I'm literally stuck in front of the camera 24/7, and I just need something to do. The other portion of it is people have been asking hey, I want do you have a build planner? You guys all stream, people come in the chat and they're exclamation mark build, they want a planner. So it's okay, I'll make a planner. Max Rose said we could partner together so I can do planners and get paid for it and all that shit. So I'm okay, fine, I'll do planners. People want them anyway. It seems mutually beneficial. And then the third part of it is, you guys know Oscrix?
Oh yeah. We love him. We showcased his Dinomancer build a few weeks back.
Oh, badass build, actually. And the thing is, he's a friend. He's he lives in Alaska also. And he's somewhat close. So we hang out and shit every now and then.
That's super
And so
cool.
he was hey, I can help you out with builds if you want to do it for, this upcoming league, and we can figure out something, together there as a partnership also. So it's okay, you help me with making builds, because I'm, famously just a casual. So why don't you help me make some builds? We can publish them on the channel. I have to literally play every fucking Ascendancy anyway, because I'm stuck in front of the camera 24/7, and people are going to be spamming exclamation mark build anyway. So it just kind of makes sense. I'll make some build guides to see how they go.
So was it your trip to, were you planning on doing this in 0.3 no matter what? Or was it after your trip to New Zealand that you're oh, this is the time?
Doing what in particular? Subathon?
This Subathon with all the Ascendancies. Was that always something you were planning on doing?
No, not really. Not really. I mean, I haven't done Subathon since the Acropolis League, which was 18 months ago or something. And literally everyone else does them all of the time. People did it all for the PoE2 launch and all that. I just I didn't want to do a Subathon on launch of the game because I just wanted to enjoy the game. I was I could do a Subathon. The plan was to do one. But as I started talking to my editor and my girlfriend and stuff, I was you know what? I know it's financially smart to do a Subathon on the launch. I should do that. But realistically, it's when I do a Subathon, there's a good percentage chance I can be very miserable by the end of it, depending upon how it goes. And the first one I did in Acropolis was brutal, because people could pay $3 to wake me up. It would be a text-to-speech thing with speakers, because guys, was talking about this, and I was okay, I'll try it. And it was just a horrible idea. So I was getting 3 hours of sleep, and went for a week, and I'm in the room with an airbed, and the cat poked a hole in the airbed, so I'm just crunching the floor. It was just fucking miserable. And so I was by the end of it, I was okay. So because of that, I haven't done one in a long time, because I was very tired. And I was just I actually like PoE2, and I know I like the game because I played on it. So I was just I'm not going to do one for launch. I just want to play the game. And so I kind of picked that over the stream Andy shit. But now it's 0.3. I got to see what's coming. I realize it's huge. Oscrix is going to help me with making builds. People are asking for them anyway on the chat. It's just a perfect storm. It's let's not do it. And then August 29th, when it launches, of course, is the launch of September on Twitch. So it's discounted too. So it's just a perfect storm. So it's like, yeah, okay. Well, I'll do one. It's been fucking forever. Why not? It's the time to do it if I was going to do one.
That sounds like the first one you did was kind of set up for you to just be tortured with like the chat messages. So hopefully this one it's gonna be better.
Yeah. I made it's the first Subathon I've ever done, and it was kind of going to be like I was thinking like this might be the last one I ever do, to be honest, because it was pretty miserable. I learned a lot from it. It's like you have to actually sleep. Like you have to get sleep, or else by the second, third day, like you're hating every second of it. So, it will be not as brutal this time.
I know a number of people when they do their subathons, they just like run like videos in the background or like reruns of their streams whenever they're sleeping or something like that. So maybe do something similar, or you just have it on yourself while you're sleeping and just not have the chat messages blaring every 5 minutes.
I kind of have an issue with reruns in particular, like during Twitch drops, because that's literally Twitch TOS. Like it actually says in there you can't do that. And so people like straight up do it anyway, and I kind of have an issue with that. So I'm not going to do reruns. What I will do is for the first day or two, people can cover. Like I'm ripping this idea off Quinn because it basically was the smartest idea to do. It's like, how do you do it? You don't want to be sleep. You have to sleep, but you also don't just want to be sleeping in the category. Like that's also kind of like, I know people do it anyway because they like kind of have to, but like I'm kind of like, So the idea is like my editor and mod Jim Tindo for the first like night or two, he's going to cover like the 6 hours while I have to sleep. So I'll sleep. He'll go play on his account and he'll interact with chat. Last time for the launch of PoE, my buddy, who was a real life buddy, he was going to come out and play my buddy Kyer. Maybe you remember him, or Eric. But unfortunately that won't work because he has to go to a funeral, and that was the plan. So somebody else will, cover those nights basically.
Yeah, I know like Ziz had like Karn playing for him last league or something like that when he was doing it. So it sounds like a similar situation.
Yeah, it's the only way. There's no other solution.
It's funny you mentioned Ostrus because we were literally talking about him yesterday, how we want to invite him on the podcast, like very early on, to talk about some of the minion stuff once he's sunk his teeth into him. I did not know he was in Alaska near you. It's cool that you hear that. Yeah, he's going to be getting some exposure on your stream.
No, he's great. He's a fantastic painter, by the way. This painting right here, that was him.
Oh, really?
That's him. Yeah,
that's really cool.
Dude's a beast.
He's phenomenal.
Anything you want to add, Rabbit, before we move on?
No, I'm ready to dive into the
PoE
topics we have listed here for. Yeah, I'm ready. Like I started my stream today with like a 15-minute intro, and when I came in, everyone was just like hype training it up already. Everyone's just so fucking excited. I had like 300 people watch me just look at hideouts today. So yeah, we're just like there's nothing to do. There's nothing to do. I just want to stall right now. Every 2 hours that I go by is like, oh yes, I have made it. Another 2 hours have gone by. Is it Friday yet? Fuck, it's still Monday. But yeah, I'm just, this is literally my mode right now. And every single day after I am done with my work and stuff, I'm just in the M stream and see him do the same. So I think we're all just fucking stalling right now. And
this is kind of my favorite part of like before I kind of like the stall-a-thon. Yes. They're shorter streams. You do 4 hours. You gotta watch some videos. You talk some shit. You spin into the memes. You make fun of your buddies, and then you log off for the day. Like it's. Yeah. I love the stall-a-thon that happens before the actual gameplay, to be honest. It's one of my favorite parts. I literally
did nothing today. It was awesome. I just talked to chat. I looked at hideouts. We were like judging hideouts today. This is awesome. I'm super fucking excited for Friday. I couldn't be more excited, but right now this is also very, very awesome. I got up at like 5 a.m. this morning, did 2 videos for YouTube, and then like now it's like 16 hours later, and I'm still here. So I'm just like, this is excitement. This is what's holding me up right now.
Passion.
Don't pull apart the curtains, man. Don't pull apart the curtains. You don't want them to see that we're just stalling and we're not like actually making like content. This is planned, guys. It's normal. It's normal.
The tier list video I did today was definitely something that is my life's blood that went into that. It's definitely not me memeing on Warrior.
Yeah, this is the first tier list I've ever made, and it was partially rage bait, but they are more fun to make than you would expect. They are
Yours
a
was
silly
very good
time.
though.
Oh, thanks.
The comments of people expecting an actual tier list from you was awesome. Like the comments just going like, "Wait, how did I expect an actual tier list? This is just thorns." So, yeah, perfect one.
It happens.
But yeah,
yeah, let's dive in. I'm going to go a little bit out of order here. I actually want to start with the passive tree overall. Right before we went live, I got linked by a viewer a before and after image of what the passive tree, like a little slider. And I want to just show this off on stream, and we can just dive into the passive tree changes. We don't know what they're coming yet. We are all kind of hoping we would get the data mine passive tree by now, but we are getting a massive overhaul to the passive tree. So many new clusters and then rework clusters. If you look at what Miso's showing on screen, rip the cameras, but you could slide it back and forth. If you click the middle, I'll let you set up real quick. But if you click the middle bar, you can slide it back and forth, and you can just see the density change. It's like you're looking at the stars at night, and like the city turns off the light. Yeah. It just like brightens up. The difference is incredible. We are getting so much new stuff, let alone all the new stuff old stuff that's getting reworked. DM, let's just start with you. Like, I mean, you obviously know you've seen probably some of the passive tree. Like, how excited are you just for the passive tree overhaul in general?
Well, in my personal opinion, I think the passive tree is one of the biggest issues currently with the game. Like, obviously, I'm a huge fan of the game, but like, there's some core critical like problems. And I think when anyone thinks of Path of Exile 1 and they think of their first WoW moment, it's when they open up the passive tree first. I mean, how many times have we all watched like somebody reacting to seeing the passive tree for the first time? It's like everyone loves to see that moment for somebody. And in PoE 2, you have that also, like you have the moment you open up like, oh, there's a ton of shit here. But like, you don't have the meaning behind it, in my opinion. Like, it's just like, increase this, increase that percentage. It's just some like, multiplier adds. Like, there's not really like any, like it's a mile wide, but it's like an inch deep. It's like how I feel about the passive tree right now, basically. So in form, you're wow, but in function, you're not. And so in PoE 1, you have both of those. And so in order for it to like, truly be Path of Exile, the passive tree has to fundamentally be the same thing. Like it needs to have form and function. And so I think the passive tree getting additions is like one of the most important things the game has to have in order to like make people feel more satisfied about builds and build diversity. And I'm sure there's just support gem changes and all that, but like you kind of like aren't going to get a good feeling build without a good feeling passive tree. And so, yeah, obviously when I heard that they're, doing, what's it, 150 notables or something, I heard that on sound there, I was like, okay, good. Like this like needs to happen immediately because it is a mega issue. So yeah, obviously I was very excited.
I mean, it's really interesting to take a look at the passive tree right now because I was reading chat and I actually never noticed this, but it makes sense in the grand scheme of things. But the top left of the passive tree is very sparse right now, looking at it. Given that it's probably because there's no classes in that spot right now. But it's really interesting because that basically means if anybody is trying to play energy shield armor, which, pretty much nobody ever does anyways, it's like, well, I think this is definitely not the league to do that because if you're trying to path up here, you're going to be missing a lot of nodes and a lot of power.
This was already a pretty sparse zone already, so it's just not really gonna change to the next upgrade, to the next update of the game. So yeah, that's probably still like the most work in progress part of the passive tree. But I like fully agree with what DM said as well. It doesn't really feel like the passive tree before was something that is very build defining or something that makes a build like special in any kind of way. It definitely does feel like a chore. It's just like, and that is what probably 99% of the players do as well. They just load up the passive tree they get from the guide, and it is just no thinking. It's just going like that. And I am very, very hopeful that we at least get some more build defining stuff on the passive tree, and as opposed to it just being like, yeah, I'm just going this way because this is the way that this build needs to go. So I wish there was like a little bit of the other way around of that. No, I like this part of the passive tree really, really well. So I kind of want to go into like the Black Flame Covenant or something. So really, really hope that that is going to be something that will happen for the next patch.
We get timeless jewels, which would be super interesting because I was surprised. Yeah, the timeless jewels. I'm kind of excited for them because I think they're pretty cool, but also like people now have to use the like, are we going to get calculator? Someone's got to do the calculator website for timeless jewels, right? Because now, you have to have it. How are you going to memorize 30,000 different ones?
I'm a
I didn't
little
even think
bit.
about them.
I'm a little bit less excited about the timeless jewels personally. I'm actually not a huge fan of them. I think maybe for Path of Exile 1 it makes sense, but for Path of Exile 2 I'm a little less excited because like Path of Exile 2 kind of is supposed to be that game where you can kind of hop in and just like kind of play it. But then when you add timeless jewels like that, the new unique ones at least, where I'm not talking about just like the rare ones or Against the Darkness, but the new unique ones, then you're gonna have to like, oh, what does this actually do? Or if you're like looking up a guide, then people will be like, oh, I bought a timeless jewel, but this doesn't work. So it's like people in Path of Exile 1 are very used to it, but I think in Path of Exile 2, given like some of the audience, which are fairly, let's just say on the more casual side, I feel like it's kind of going to be a rough awakening for them when they first see it.
Do you think that would be solved and you'd be more excited by it if there was a UI fix for that? So you could click on it and click preview and then it would show you what the jewel actually modifies on the tree?
100%, 100% would make it a lot better. Like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with timeless jewels as a concept, but just like the way that they've implemented it, it's tough. It's tough.
So are you strictly talking about like the timeless jewel, like Heroic Tragedy, the new one? Like
the new Heroic Tragedy type one. Yeah.
Because I feel like all the other timeless jewels are not too complex, right?
No.
Those are time lost jewels. Like these are we're talking about timeless. There's time lost, which is the clustering.
Yeah, English second language. I'm sorry. No, but the timeless. No, there definitely at some point needs to be something, at least a third-party tool or whatever, so we can see the seeds. In the previous patch, I absolutely hated to put these in any type of build that I was releasing because it was literally every single day the question 35 times in my stream every single minute was, I have this timeless jewel, it's not working. What the fuck did you do? And ever since then, I kind of, even though it was a good thing to do, or even though you kind of had to have a timeless jewel, like the Heroic Tragedy one in some of the builds that I did last league, I just sometimes didn't do it because I got sick of that question every single day, because it's also not really answerable, because it's like, yeah, it's random. It's like 5,800 seeds on that one, 3 different names, and get fucked. So I don't know. I just got really, really sick of that. I really hope there's gonna be like, I feel like he's hinting at something here. I know everything.
I literally was waiting to say that. The way DM phrased that, like he was very directly like, have you seen the interface already for that?
I think, like, brother, I didn't even know they were coming to the game. I'm not hinting at anything. Okay. I just like the concept that the tree is going to have more depth. You know what I mean? Yep. So it's like, for me, when I saw it, I was like, oh shit, I was surprised. And I found that to be an interesting addition because, like, we were all bitching about jewel sockets being removed because we all like cluster jewels, right? And so it's like, here's your ultimate cluster jewel. It's a cluster fuck to understand how the jewel works 100%. Like, no argument for me, dude. I had the same problem. I bought the wrong one 3 times just in Secrets of the Atlas to try to get my man-to-man build to go. Okay, so I get it. So like that 100% needs to be solved, but we're getting some depth. And that's nice. And also, like, it's not an addition where it's like, okay, you add it and now casuals can't play the game. It's like, it's literally just and now this exists. So it's like, you literally don't ever have to touch it unless they make content that like, unless they make these so powerful that there's content that can only be cleared with it. It doesn't hurt anybody.
My only like concern about it every time is just like, again, it's like Rabbit, right? Somebody looks at a build guide and it's just like, what is this? Like, how do I deal with it? Because a lot of people just do slap on a build guide, right? They put it into POB and they're just like, all right, let's just follow this. And then they see the item and then they buy one and they're just like, this ain't.
I get it. I mean, you're right. I get it. But also, like, I don't form my opinion around people that copy paste like builds, and I have to like now, like, someone might copy paste a build wrong. It's like, okay, I'm sorry. These are people in the back of the classroom that can be left behind. Like, if you copy paste the wrong item and then now we have to change the game around, it's like, I can't work with that.
I can only safety net my guide so much, and if advanced sections are for that kind of stuff, but I can only handhold so much.
Yeah. It's always going to be like that as well. Whether it's a specified like complex mechanic like timeless jewels, or if it's a completely basic mechanic whatever. There's always gonna be the guys to read one line in the build guide. I literally had a guide last league, or I started doing guides last league where every single guide was a very strict endgame build guide, and the first line was a heading in the mobalytics guide, literally like triple the size of all the other stuff in the guide. Fat, like letters, everything. This is an endgame build guide. This is not suited for leveling. If you try to level with this, you're gonna have a bad time. I cannot tell you how many times people were going like, this build fucking sucks for leveling. This guy is a baiter, clickbait. This build fucking is the worst thing I've ever done, because they like it could be the first line in the build guide. It's just so I super agree. Just because there are these types of players, and if that's like how you play the game, that's fine as well. If you don't have the like time to invest whatever to actually study everything 12 hours a day, that's totally fine. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but the game shouldn't be balanced around that. No.
Well, I agree with Miso, which is like there is a fundamental problem with the understanding of the way these gyms work. Like, I totally get that point, just to be clear. It's like I won't change my opinion based around people that can't read, but I also like understand the game shouldn't literally say this is one of 30,000 and you have no way of knowing other than owning it. Like, I completely fundamentally agree with that point as well. So that's a UI design challenge that I think should be implemented with these. Whether or not that's actually coming in it, no idea. But I would hope so, because especially with like buying stuff now, like with trade, there is a certain people like getting baited into buying the wrong one. Like that is an actual problem I get. So I would hope that there's a way to like click preview or like something built into like the actual officialness of it where you can see what they would do. And that would be, in my opinion, then it's problem solved more or less, other than, it's still a kind of a complex item, but like, I'm glad complex items at least exist. But yeah, UI issue for sure.
Well, something, since this is a Mobalytics podcast, something that they added into the Mobalytics website feature is that, when you're making a build or taking a look at a build, you can actually, there's a button next to the item that you can just click on, and it'll link you to the trade website that'll pull up a similar item. So, hopefully that'll cover the scenes.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Wait, I didn't even know about that one. Is that bad?
It's pretty sick. It's pretty sick.
It's in its early phases, but it's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, just in general, the passive tree overhaul, it's super hype. Let's talk about support gems. Now, we infamously on this podcast, I think infamously is the right word, a couple of podcasts ago, we all talked about the support gem limitation in a positive light. We said that we thought it was, in a way, creatively pushing us towards certain builds and certain support gems that otherwise we would have been stacking, concentrated effect and stuff like that and everything. Now, I want to start by saying that after the change got announced, I went and looked through a lot of my old builds, and for specifically minion builds, I was finding that the restriction being lifted was amazing. Like, I had specifically a minion build with 3 casters that all had different spells with cooldowns, and you want to put ingenuity in all 3 of those, right? You don't want to choose which one gets ingenuity. So that was the moment I had this, like, I guess, coming to Jesus moment where I was like, okay, this will in some ways allow me to play the builds that the way you would naturally want to. But I'm still kind of a little bit concerned. I think the introduction of the tiers of support gems and then the specifically endgame unique support gems helps a lot. But let's just start with Miso here, since we were the ones that said that we liked it and now it's changing. Where are you at right now that we've had a couple days to decompress on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think I am overall still kind of the same position, but see a lot. Like, I mean, there's always positive and negative with anything that you make, right? Any change that you make. And I definitely see both the positives and the negatives. I think, like, it still stands that it is very interesting to have some of those limitations for build guides or build makers to really kind of try to work around those limitations to make something work or make something cool. That way you're not just sticking on the same kind of couple support gems over and over again. But at the same time, if we're thinking about like the vision about what they're trying to do with like combo skills, it's actually very supportive of that, because one of the things before is that you would always just have like your main damage gem with the best skills, right? With the best support gems. And then your combo skill would kind of be left with like the sloppy seconds. But that basically lowers the overall damage ceiling of that combo skill, and potentially is one of the reasons why combos kind of feel bad a lot of times, because it's just not worth it to add that second combo skill in, because it's not going to add that much damage. But now that we're able to get these duplicate supports, that means those combo skills that we're using can also use the premium gems to make these combo skills work out, compared to before. So I still think for like a build creativity standpoint, it's probably a little bit, less fun in my opinion, because as much as it is like great to have a ton of like, strong abilities, it is also interesting to have limitations to work around and like think like, oh, how do I get over this? But from an overall game balance perspective, I do think that it is a really cool thing and a really good thing to have these, duplicate gems. That way we can use more powerful gems on our combo skills.
Rabbit.
Yeah, I mean, like you already said, I think when we originally talked about the topic, I think I was probably the one that was most against it, I would say, because I always kind of thought that it would just, as you described it, it would just be like Martial Tempo concentrated effect into whatever else there is. I've actually gone back in a lot of the builds I made this league as well, and kind of figured like how could I transition them into point 3 when it comes to support gems. And I kind of realized that when thinking about the support gems for the builds that I have been doing, and mostly the builds that are really kind of the meta ones and the ones that are really, really high performing endgame builds, very, very good top end builds in the endgame especially, most of them didn't really make use too much of the new thing of being able to now add like support gem 1 into all of the skills. There was still a lot of variety that I would be going for in these builds. I think, like you said as well, what it actually like made better here is maybe the builds that struggled on that end. Like the minion builds, for example, where you said like, I'm not even filling out all the support gems here because all of these just kind of suck, and now I already have the good ones in the good minions up top here, and now I'm just strapped for anyone like any else. So my opinion has 100% shifted on that. I think the tiers is also like a very big factor in that opinion shifting, and yeah, obviously the lineage support. So yeah, opinion successfully different now.
Yeah, for me, I think it's it feels to me like a break glass in case of emergency type of situation, which is like the number one complaint that you pretty much see last week, other than like the starting issues, admittedly with balance around all that. It's like build diversity. Like everyone was bitching about build diversity and lightning spear and everything. And so what do? They add a million more notables on the passive tree, and they make it where support gems go on everything. It's kind of counter to like a core philosophy that they have been stating the whole time, which they like the concept of like having to pick where goes where. But I think they ended up like kind of being like that. I agree with the core philosophy, but I think in practice what ended up happening is they don't have enough support gems for this actually to matter. So instead of it being like a decision you're making, it's almost like the opposite. It's like a foregone conclusion. Well, I can only use this support gem in one place, so I'm going to put it on this one. And so I'm not sure that it's necessarily going to change that, because like if a gem is still better than the other ones, don't you just kind of want it on all the ones that are similar? You know what I mean? Like it's still probably that same concept. But I think they literally probably can't make enough support gems like right off the rip where they feel like they can do it and then still have it be able to be into the incentivized combo gameplay. Like I think it's just, okay, what do? We need build diversity. We can't make 100 new supports that are all going to be viable in it. Smash the glass. They can go everywhere. Add passive skills. It'll be a little bit of a Wild West, and then we'll balance after. Like that would be my guess. That's kind of what it feels like to me.
It's like,
Yeah, I think my initial reaction after the stream when we heard this was, I wish they would have waited for 100 more support gems. So I'm glad you said that. It just felt like that if we maybe had 100 more support gems, and maybe GGG knows internally they don't have 100 more coming. I don't know, but I felt like that. Yeah, they might have just pulled the trigger a little bit too soon. I would have liked a little bit more support gems, but yeah. Go ahead, Miso.
yeah, it's like interesting, right? Because it's, as you say, that if there were potentially 100 more support gems, it might have made sense. But at the same time, they can't add it in right now, right? But the thing is, if they lean this direction of letting us have duplicate support gems, I don't think they can ever go back the other direction.
Yeah.
Where they
Yeah. It's
like it feels like it's a problem that could never be solved, because if we don't have enough support gems, we can never go with the only one support gem per character. But at the same time, we can't have that many support gems in the game right now. So we're just like, we're never going to be in that place. It's either we stay with the one support gem forever, or now we just stay with this multiple support gem system.
We kind of have a both, right, with the lineage, right? They're one of only. So
That's
it depends
true.
on how they balance around that. Like, they could funnel a lot of the current, like, non-lineage support gems eventually into, like, upgraded lineage support gems. Like, if what you're seeing, like, martial tempo used to, like, our version of martial tempo used too much, they remove that and make it, like, a lineage version or something. Like, so there is a way they can, like, kind of hybrid it.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Because I mean, like the inverting resistance one is, I'm surprised that's not like 30% chance to invert. It's just
it's
fucking
crazy.
inverted.
No.
It's like,
It's
okay, then
insane.
I guess Doriani's prototypes back on the menu, boys. So, yeah, no, I that's a good point, Cal.
Rabbit, you look like you were going to say something?
No, it's just on the what is it called? Rakia's flow or whatever.
Rakiata's flow, yeah.
mainly Rakiata's flow. That is the number one talk of the town, I feel like, ever since they showed that one on stream. I for sure think that is going to be very rare, right? Because it kind of makes
You would
Invoker. Yeah, that's what I would think. Yeah, we'll see, because that one seems completely ridiculous. Like most of the time, first reaction for most people was, I think we saw the +1s first, like the +1 to all skills and quality. I think that is even more insane. Getting 10% quality on all the gems as like on top of the +1 to all skills. But then they showed this one, and that is just that is ridiculous.
I hope
Slap
it's
that
rare.
one. Yeah,
I
hope
sorry, I didn't mean to
it
cut you
better
off. My
be.
bad.
No, it's all good. I better hope this is like, I don't know what to like compare it with in terms of rarity, but I for sure hope it's on the rarity scale of like the rarest T0 uniques, because
For sure.
yeah, because that is insane, because that makes any build that uses any elemental just, it works. It just works.
It's the mage blood of the game, right? I mean, you just swat it in, and it's 600% more damage if we're calculating for 75%, right? So it's all right. He seems pretty good. You know what I mean? Seems pretty good.
Unless you're a chaos build. Unless you're a chaos build.
Okay, but then you have the problem being a chaos build anyway. So
hello, that's my league starter.
oh, are you doing ED Contagion or what? Are you?
Yes.
What about Chayula Monk? They just got a rework.
Yeah, there's something there. Like I feel like there's a good chance it's bait, but like the volatility thing looks super interesting. Like being able to have volatility without like basically killing yourself seems kind of awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we have, I wanted to add this topic to the list last second. Miso wanted to talk about it. I mean, everyone's talking about ascendancies right now and all the new changes. So let's just dive into the winners and losers. Chayula Monk definitely seems like one of the winners. I mean, on paper, it seems fun. I'm hyped to try it out. Miso, you're league starting Chayula, right?
Yeah, I'm league starting Chayula, but that's not to say that I think it's going to be a top tier class. I think like Chayula Monk got some interesting changes, but at the same time, I think it's still a mid tier to like, maybe above average ascendancy. Granted, that's way better than what it was before, which was kind of at the bottom, but I don't think it's like insane, right? Because I think I made a video about this, but volatility is potentially a little bit bait. I think like a lot of people think it's like insane where you can like just stack volatility up and up and up and up while you're mapping, but that's not actually the case. They're kind of misunderstanding about how volatility works. On average,
can you explain it? Can you explain it for me then? Because like I haven't gone down the volatility rabbit hole at all. So like just can you walk it through for me and everyone else watching that does not have a fundamental understanding of volatility?
Yeah, for sure. So volatility, and I'll talk about it specifically about volatility in the Chayula essence, right? So volatility, how it works in general is that when you hit an enemy and gain a volatility stack, right? It stacks up until a certain point. Every volatility stack has a duration of 4 seconds. And every time you gain another stack, that resets the timer. But when the 4 seconds goes down, so basically if you go 4 seconds without gaining another volatility stack, it will explode normally for 100 damage. And then you get the amount of chaos damage based off of the number of volatility stacks that exploded. So let's say you built up 10 volatility stacks. That's an extra 10% chaos damage that you get. A lot of people misunderstand it and think that, because Chayula Monk makes it so that every single time you apply an elemental ailment, you get a volatility stack, right? People, I think that volatility is a thing that either A, doesn't explode and it still gives you the damage, or B, after it explodes, every volatility stack you get will extend the timer for the previous volatility stack damage that you get. But that's not the case. What it is just that, again, it resets that 4 second timer before it blows up. So when it's like 4, 3, 2, 1, you hit an enemy, you get a stack. 4, 3, 2, 1, you hit an enemy, you get another stack. So it's not until you wait until the volatility timer, the 4 second goes down to 0 before you can actually get the damage. So it's really good for burst because there's a way to get like maximum volatility stacks really, really quickly. I think it's like 200. So you get, boom, 200% extra damage for 10 seconds. But it's not really something that you're going to be sustaining over the map for, you're not going to be able to sustain that 200% throughout the entirety of a map. It's just going to be 10%. So I'm expecting people to run around with like an average of like 10 to 25% extra chaos damage while they're mapping.
That is a lot of words for 20% chaos damage extra. Couldn't they have just said it?
It's a very like weirdly
and that's why it's
worded.
Paid.
Yeah, and also it's got the description is incorrect. It says that there's no limit by default. Like if you look at the volatility description at the bottom, it says by default volatility has no limit, but the actual default is 200. And that's people might think that they just added it this patch because they mentioned something about 200 on there, but no, it's always been 200, even last patch.
Wait, is it for the Ascendancy? Like the Ascendancy gives it no limit, or is it just like it's your hard cap?
No, it's always been 200. It's just that if you look at the volatility tooltip, right, in game on the bottom, it says volatility has no limit, but it does have a limit. It's 200. I don't know why it says that at the bottom. It's definitely a typo.
I feel like there has to be something missing from this equation, like either from the passive tree or a gem or something. Like I feel like a support or something that's like supposed to enable that better, because that does not sound good enough.
Same in my opinion goes for Hallowed Palm, like the keystone. There has to be some more stuff for that keystone. Otherwise, that is the biggest bait you could ever go for.
It's definitely bait.
I'm getting baited. I'll bite that bait every day.
It looks fun anyway. Fuck it. I do it anyway.
It's bait.
Yeah.
There is no way in the world that thing is gonna... If that is just like that, there must be some more stuff. It will probably be very, very good early, but there is actually no way that some critical hit chance and attack speed is gonna substitute a actual quarterstaff. There's just no way. So I will be excited to others seeing others catch the bait for me, and I'll just come in 3 weeks later when it's actually good and be like, oh damn, let's go. Let's go Hallowed Palm.
Just you wait. The physical damage scaling on the gems is gonna be crazy. It's gonna be absolutely insane. I'm gonna be one-shotting bosses, and you're gonna be so mad.
I'm gonna say the classic response, which is the passive tree.
We're clipping and we're coming back.
The passive tree.
I'm gonna say the classic response. The passive tree is gonna add nodes. We don't know the faux picture, guys. The passive tree is gonna have 150 unarmed notables, and they're all gonna be more damage.
Mm-hmm.
It's just gonna solve everything.
It's gonna be insane.
That's the copium of the day.
Yep. But I mean, I realize I never answered the original question, the winners and losers of Ascendancies. Obviously, I think most people are saying Deadeye is really, really good. Most people are saying Deadeye is the winner, which I agree that Deadeye is one of the bigger winners in terms of like overall power level. Like, I think like overall power level, Deadeye's probably a top tier, though I don't think it's as good as people think it is. As I was mentioning before the podcast, I think that it's probably only really good for Sniper's Mark, but anything else is not really going to be that useful. But yeah, I think Deadeye's really strong. But if we're talking about winners of the buffs, I do think Chayula is probably one of the biggest winners of the buffs. They probably got one of the most, like, from where they were before to where they are after, even though it's not a top tier Ascendancy. I think they won in terms of what they got. And in terms of losers, it's definitely Kitava. I mean, Kitava lost, like, they just got nerfed across the board, right? I actually think potentially Warbringer, unless the totem stuff is just really, really cool and insane.
There's a chance Warbringer is like, I love all of them. Titan is what Titan is, and there's a chance Warbringer does something kind of cool, and Kitava is absolute dog shit. Like, that's basically from what I can tell.
Yeah, I'm probably league starting Warbringer. I think there's a lot of potential with like armor break right now. But yeah, I would say, I mean, we went from, so last patch playing Warbringer, I had a video talking about block this morning, and last patch on Warbringer, I would get up to like, you could get to like 82% block with the Anvil, and then you add on Svalin. And like, you pretty much are unkillable on a Warbringer. You have Turtle Charm with just insane block. So when you've played something like that, and that's getting removed, like, seriously nerfed, we get to 75% cap now with like glancing blows effect, so we're taking partial damage now. Like, Warbringer is never going to feel that powerful for the history of this game. So yes, that is a big L for Warbringer. But I'm still probably league starting it. Do you know what you're league starting, DM?
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna league start Arc. Like, I think I'm gonna go full on, like, mana stacker back on the menu, boys. Stormweaver, Arc, like classic, click all the lightning, all the intelligence, all the mana nodes. That's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to pray those timeless jewels have some like mana percentage somewhere in the 30,000 or whatever of them. So that's pretty much my go-to is very classic, more mana, good.
I think that's a very good choice, because I just talked about Indigon on stream today. And Indigon is, in my opinion, an item I think was kind of forgotten in the last 2 leagues, because it didn't really, no, I mean, it was released in the last league, so it was kind of forgotten this league, because mana stacking just died a horrible death in Dawn of the Hunt. So I think you're gonna be onto something there, and Indigon is gonna probably have its big shiny moment again this league on the Stormweavers and stuff. So yeah, that's gonna be exciting. I have to disagree with Miso. I don't know. You said you don't know. Deadeye isn't as good as people say it is. How much better could it be then?
No, I'm saying I'm saying it's good. It's probably one of the best Ascendancies right now.
Best Ascendancy.
But I don't think it's as good as people think it is, because of the mark text. Like, people are saying like, oh, the mark
because
stuff
people
is
are
just
just
insane.
completely.
But like, I don't think the mark is as insane as people think it is, because when you think about it realistically, the mark tech is not going to be blasphemy, right? It's not just going to instantly mark everything around you. And if that's the case, if it even puts like one voltaic mark in a small radius around you, in reality, your lightning arrow is going to kill that entire pack anyways. So the only thing that really benefits you is like Sniper's Mark, auto Sniper's Mark application, which we're getting less usefulness for, because last league the biggest frenzy charge stuff was basically Lightning Spear, which is getting nerfed, and then Wind Serpent's Fury, which also got nerfed. So what else are we going to use frenzy charges for? I mean, there's probably a couple things out there, but then like, I think like it's probably being a little bit overhyped in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, that is definitely the fact that the whole thing of like big streamer talk has been going. I still think it is.
Oh, it's insane! It's a good
best
class. It's a really good.
It is the best. It is the best Ascendancy. That the way it is structured right now, it definitely will be. I think a lot of people will be surprised that it will not play the game for them. I think a lot of people will especially be surprised with the bow builds and the performance of bow builds in the early campaign and the early endgame. I think a lot of people who are seeing Fopcon play the bow build that they are trying to copy, they're going to be very, very sad, and they probably will change build after a while, because bow builds, the way they are structured right now, and I don't see this changing in the next league, because I have been playing a very strong bow build for the last 6 weeks now on Invoker. It is so gear dependent. It is probably the most gear dependent build archetype in the game. And a lot of people will struggle hard with that. You're shaking your head. Which one? Which Thorns build is it? That is more gear dependent.
Yeah, man, Thorns most gear dependent for sure.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm just trolling. I'm just trolling.
Okay. But yeah, a lot of people will be surprised how hard it's gonna be to actually get the build up and running. Fopcon is not gonna have problems with that because he's just gonna blast like 3 days in a row, and he's not gonna have a problem with that. But a lot of the more casually focused players are gonna be surprised that Deadeye doesn't solve any problems just because an Ascendancy is S tier doesn't mean like you still have to play the game. You still have to itemize, you still have to do it. I think the biggest winner of the of all the patch notes and everything that we have seen over the past few days is just overall spellcasters. DM already said he's gonna definitely go for some type of spellcaster thing, anything that fits into that build archetype. I think that one is by far the biggest winner of everything in this patch notes.
I want to hear your thoughts on that. Like, what's your give me your reasoning as to like, okay, so if you're talking league start, right? Because we're in the conversation of league starter here, right? Are you talking like, because you're just talking the in-game gear and all that. So I'm assuming you're meaning without Giga investment, you think the casters, we're talking casters here. So like, give me your breakdown on why exactly you think casters are back on the menu, boys.
I mean, for league starters, there's definitely going to be something that will be solved like in the first week or so. There's a lot of numbers that we obviously don't have in terms of deterministic or determining what will be like a good league starter as opposed to something like that. I can pretty confidently say that ED Contagion is going to be an insanely good league starter because there is literally nothing changed about that. It's probably even better now with the mana changes. The reason why I think spellcasters are just back on the menu is because mainly, honestly, on the mana changes. The mana changes is just what killed spellcasters in the Dawn of the Hunt League. The possibilities are always there. It was just only utilized this league because everyone was playing a Blood Mage for any spellcaster. The play rate of any other spellcaster in Dawn of the Hunt League was below 1%. We had like Chronomancer at 1%, we had Stormweaver at 1%, and that every single spellcaster in the game in the Dawn of the Hunt League was a Blood Mage, and that was because the Blood Mage was using Blood Magic for most of the time, because you couldn't actually do damage without being able to tap something else except for your mana, because most of the builds that were one-shotting Pinnacle bosses as a spellcaster or were doing Simulacrum as a spellcaster, literally every single one was based on just stacking up on cast on criticals, on cast on shock, whatever. And as soon as you have a mana-based build on any of these builds, your character is just shitting out 6 arcs and you're out of mana. And then you press your mana pot once, you have 6 more arcs, you press your mana pots once. What Blood Mage offered you was you tap your life, everything just gets low, it gets up, it gets up. It's just a loop on itself. Mana builds could never provide that. And with the mana changes that we are getting right now, there is hope again that a non-Blood Mage and non-Blood Magic build can actually replicate that again. And that is why I think spellcasters are absolutely back on the menu. And that's why I'm league starting one.
Nice.
I need. Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead, DM.
I was gonna say, I just need to be able to get a lot of mana is my thing. Because like I want to do the mind over matter without mind over matter. And like I didn't really feel like I'm stacking like that much mana. You know what I mean? Previously. So it's if these nodes are giving us a lot of mana for my Archmage build, I'm gonna feel pretty good. Because it is pretty easy now to hit 100% damage of mana before without mind over matter. Like it's not that hard. You have the unique item, you got the sockets, you got the new belt, you got the 20% from the Ascendancy. You can hit 100% and not have mana recovery issues. So if they give us any mana nodes at all, that's my copium. Is that Archmage will actually like kind of be pretty good. But I need I need a few nodes. Do you see the Archon stuff where they're talking like Lightning, Fire, Cold Archon? That look kind of badass.
Yes.
Casters got to level up.
All of the nodes that like they said are like supposed to be kind of interacting with the ascendancies and the classes themselves, I think it's a really cool idea.
I'm a little I'm a little head scratching about infusions, to be honest. Yeah. Like the infusions have been a little bit of like that's a like I saw that, I was like, that's a really cool idea.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah,
I saw
cool
in the
idea.
patch notes, and I'm kind of like, where's the cool, like the Firestorm one is like, oh shit, they're doing that for all of it. But then you look at the notes and it's like, we have Firestorm, but now if you have an infusion, it's back to what it was. So it's, and Incinerate's another example, right? I guess Incinerate got conceptual changes, but like
Rework.
the idea of the burning ground is removed, but then just comes back with the infusion. It's like, I don't really want to just get the shit I already had with an infusion. It's not exactly new and cool. So like, I kind of like, I want to see what the rest of them really do. And I'm not sure that they showed all of those. I didn't see too many infusions. The concept of like arc chaining more with infusion makes sense. That's cool. But like, I kind of, infusions are a great idea that I just hope is executed well.
I'm
One biggest.
kind of worried. Sorry, Kalturek. I kind of worried about the infusions, because if it's in a state where you basically get your old thing back just because you have to get the infusion now for it, that is a bad thing.
Yes.
It's a nerf.
That's a nerf. That's a nerf in the end. And if it's gonna be something like, Fireball is still the same, but if the Fireball now gets an infusion, it's a better Fireball. That is fine with me. That is awesome. But it should not be the Fireball is like 60% now, and you have to get the infusion to make the Fireball like 110%. I think that is very, very worrisome for me in terms of infusions. And I did like a tier list video today, like I said, and I actually talked about this Stormweaver a lot, and a lot of people were kind of like super hyped on the Stormweaver because of all the changes to the Ascendancy. And I think overall they are very, very nice and a step in the right direction to make Stormweaver like a little bit more playable again. But it's heavily reliant on infusions being good. If infusions fall flat, Stormweaver is useless, completely useless, because everything in this Ascendancy is now geared towards infusions. Because why would you pick the Ascendancy if you're not using infusions? Because then you could just use Blood Mage or Chronomancer. They need to be good now, the infusions, and they need to have some good interactions, and it shouldn't just be like, oh yeah, you get your old shit back now with an extra
they have
step.
to be on top of what we already have, and it needs to be like, I feel like the infusions should like come to you, like you suck them off the fucking minions or something, as opposed to like, you're just having to pick them up. Like, I want to go play fucking picking up shit. Like, I'm not playing Snake. I'm not trying to get the dots. Like, just I want to play the game. So like the infusion should come to me. Okay.
You want to
as
suck,
opposed
you can
to like,
assume
I should suck them right off, is what I'm saying.
Thank you.
You should assume that GGG will release the feature with like you having to do as much work for it as possible, and eventually the quality of life of it coming to you will come later. Yeah, that's my biggest problem with the infusions. Is it's a step back. I feel like for me, you talked about this in your video, Rabbit, and it's one of the ascendancies that I'm like flip-flopping between league starting. But for me, one of the biggest winners that people are sleeping on is Witch Hunter. Witch Hunter didn't get nerfed. It got buffed with the weapon swap changes. And on this podcast, like 3 or 4 weeks ago, we showcased Sorcery Ward. It was like a 26k Sorcery Ward with 90% PDR from armor stacking with Chaos Inoculation. He was actually unkillable. So yeah, I'm pretty hyped about Witch Hunter. I think once people really start leaning into weapon swapping, weapon swapping gets really deep whenever you're like min-max it to the best degree. If you're like using as much alternate weapon types and skills as possible, you can really push weapon swapping pretty hard. I don't know if the community and the game is ready for that, but I think Witch Hunter, it not getting any changes and with weapon swapping getting a buff was a big win for Witch Hunters.
I'm still skeptical about Witch Hunter, but the weapon swap stuff does seem actually insane. I think people just haven't started wrapping their heads around the fact, like the things that you can actually do with weapon swapping. Like basically it allows you to play 2 weapon archetypes seamlessly. Yeah. Like it just allows you to be hybrid using, I don't know, like a wand and like a quarterstaff or whatever, or it's like a bow and a spear. Like you could be throwing lightning spears in one second, and then the next second you're throwing out like the lightning conduits and stuff like that. This just opens up like so much more synergy that I think we're just not thinking about or considering.
Yeah, with stacking too, they made the cost of gems and your gear like, was it like a quarter? Like everything's capped at like 150 now for strength and stacks. So like,
I actually
across the board, it's easier.
I actually think that the stat stuff might be a little bit bait, because the tree itself is way more condensed and there's a lot more useful nodes. So we're going to be traveling a lot less, which means we're getting less attributes overall.
I thought they said it was only like 1 or 2 less nodes, but it depends on how much less we're getting, yeah. What are you going to say, DM?
I was going to say, I'm curious to see whether or not the weapon swapping instant is a replacement for the weapon swap tech. Because like before they were talking about how same weapon, both slots. So it's like, okay, if you get that and instant swapping, I mean, pretty fucking good. So I want to know, like, is this so like, hey, we're going to add this, but we're going to like kind of forget about, you know, like, are we just not going to do because it's going to go back to the warrior again. I need to be able to use the same shield with 2 different weapons if I'm being a warrior, right? So I don't need a shield and a more dog shit shield. Like I need the same shield in both. I don't want to have 2 Savalans. Like I need, you need something. So you kind of need that tech to be implemented.
I hope it's still on the menu. I hope they're not just scrapping it.
Yeah,
I hope so as well.
They are suspiciously quiet about that, though. And yeah, it might be. I think definitely that this is what they presented now as the weapon switch is definitely like permanent. I don't think they went like this is going to be a band-aid until we have the weapon lock tech in the game. But right. I really hope that it is not just going to be like, whoops, well, wait, what are you complaining about? You got the weapon switch. But yeah, like Miso said already, this has some serious implications. When I first realized that, I didn't even initially realize it on the like launch day. I realized it when I rewatched the launch day while stalling, by the way, and I just watched it a second time on the following day, and then I realized it, and then we kind of theory crafted a little bit around it. You talked about it on the Witch Hunter. Yeah, 44 extra weapon set points basically means the Witch Hunter can play 2 builds at the same time, kinda. At least to a large degree. If you imagine like crossbows or whatever, you can actually go fully into bolts on weapon set 1 and completely into grenades on weapon set 2, and you have no reason at all to spend any weapon set points on a skill that you are not using on a certain weapon set. So that is really, really big. But it also, I think, has some huge implications for all the other classes. Just like imagine a spellcaster in the lightning frost area of the passive tree, which is already like all very, very close together. These 24 skill points you can specialize so hard, and then you just have a +5 cold wand on your weapon set 1 for the cold spells with a cold focus, and on weapon set 2 you have like a lightning wand with a lightning focus, and everything you do just has the absolute maximum damage, as opposed to before you needed to have a +4 spell wand or whatever, and you really needed the triple gain or whatever to make this work both the same at the same time. This is now just so much better, and this just opens up a lot more builds to be played more efficiently, basically. And yeah, I really like that. But Witch Hunter especially, big buff here.
Yeah,
sleeping on weapons.
I mean, as warrior main, weapon swapping is huge. Like I think of like something like Thunderous Leap, having like that is just so much better, just like baseline, and like for just quick mobility. And like it's just. The weapon swap was just always so annoying. So like, just as a warrior main, being able to like use whatever mobility setup I want in my offhand for an instant swap is gonna be super nice. So I don't know. Weapon swap in general being changed to instant, I think is like it's arguably the biggest change in the patch. Like it's gonna feel so damn good.
Yeah, I mean, also. Why do you need Giant's Blood, actually? Just have a 2-hander in the second weapon set, have a regular shield on the other one. Every single time you use a Giant's Blood attack, just press the block button, and then it goes back to the shield.
Don't talk
you
good
play
about
warrior.
the
Let me know how that
goes.
Go try that out.
Zug brains don't want to do that. They want to spin.
Did you seriously try to make the Giant's Blood nerf look good just now? That is an actual crime. Like, I feel Angormus coming into this chat room right now and absolutely smacking you over the head just now. That is insanity.
How many times people have told me it's like, DM, you're over-exaggerating the Giant's Blood nerf. Like, we're getting the passive tree. You're going to have life on the passive tree, I'm sure. It's like, okay, so you're telling me that I'm going to have 631 flat life on the passive tree with an amount of passive points that doesn't impact the rest of the build. And then they're like, well, you don't have the full picture. Cool. Yeah, good answer.
anyone debating if it's a nerf is silly. It's not going to ever be as good as it was. But I guess the debate is, should it have been as good as it was? And yeah, I think it should have been nerfed. But the targeting life was ridiculous.
I mean, life is already.
I don't think it should have been nerfed.
No, I think it should have been nerfed.
Dude, every two-hander build I played that was required to play Giant's Blood.
Every single warrior build pretty
them.
much uses Giant's Blood. It's a required node.
The removal of Deepest Tower is already a big nerf to any kind of build that used that.
Well, no, again,
99% of these builds were using Deepest Tower.
It's not a nerf to the. It's not about being a nerf to the builds. It's just like the node itself is too powerful. Like the node itself is required.
It's required for two reasons. One of which is one-handed maces are dog shit. Yep. So you have to have it to do anything. And the other reason is block is required as a defense. We don't have this mystical I can run around without a shield. It's called dying. Like if I want to play a hardcore on warrior, you have to have a shield. If I want to do damage, you have to have a two-hander. So it's not that Giant's blood is so good. It's like, no, it is the only thing you can do to play the game. You have to have it. That's why it's like
shield.
It's a kick in the balls. It's like, okay,
that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you have to ride the bike. You have to put your legs on your side of the seat. Well, the seat's too powerful. Everyone's using the seat. Okay, we're going to make the seat kick you in the nads while you're riding the bike because it's too strong. It's like, that's the way it's designed that way.
Yeah.
I just think the bad stuff should be made better then to come close to the.
I mean, that definitely
that everyone uses.
I mean, it's the
fair argument.
It's the argument of do you nerf or buff, right? It's the same argument about like do you nerf or buff.
I'm always on the side of lift the ground up instead of cutting off the top. I'm always like, I've stated this opinion like so many times now. I think fun.
That's how Diablo 3 turned into that game, though. Is it turned into a trillion damage game because you only buff?
PoE2 will never come to this point though. Even if you have dumb people like me making decisions like that, it will never happen. It will never happen. And I still I think they're already like moving. I sound like negative here. I really think they are absolutely moving in the right direction. I was just particularly that one just even though I'm not really a warrior player, that one kind of irked me because it kind of has the feeling of fun detected. That is a little bit of the meme of fun detected in that case because those builds were fun. It was like wielding two like massive hammers in your hand. That's fun.
You think that okay, so the Wind Dancer build that I did with the two-hander and the shield, you think that should be like the baseline? Because that was a bit too ridiculous and easy.
I mean, was it fun?
It was very fun, yeah.
It was kind of fun, right? Did you have a good time? Yeah.
I've been convinced. I think it's what you said. It's not that the Giants. I actually don't think Giants Blood is OP anymore. Because if I think about it in the grand scheme of things, it's like DM said, it's a required thing because everything else is too weak. Does Giants Blood make the builds inherently OP? I don't think so. It's just that the other stuff is just too weak, and not having it makes your character too weak. It's just that there needs to be more support for non-Giants Blood builds because the only thing you can do is Giants Blood to make it passable, make your builds passable.
If one-handed maces were in a good spot, you would see a dual one-handed mace builds. Where the fuck are they? Unless we're talking about your Thor build, like it doesn't exist. Like no one's running around dual wielding and doing like they do it because they want to, not because it's good.
Yeah, I've always wondered this, just like a lot of the debate around that warrior side of the tree and warriors and stuff in general. I wonder how much like different the perspective would be on everything if we had swords or axes instead. A lot of the problems always seems to go back to maces, and just like maces being poorly balanced or most melee people not wanting to play with that slow play style. So I'm just curious, like if even in like a year of GG is going to look back on it and regret maces being the initial weapon. Because like I'm curious, like would Giant's Blood have even been touched if swords and maces and axes were all available to be utilized with it and stuff? Like they might revert that nerf down the road once we have them.
That's a good point. I think the situation we are in right now with that specific topic overall, I think it's just now Giant's Blood sucks and maces still suck. Like it's lose-lose. Like one-handed maces, like DM said, the build that just makes you die. They're not magically better now just because Giant's Blood is nerfed. They just took away one option. They just took away one good thing without actually making the bad thing better. So I think
I would
that was
I would be totally fine with the Giant's Blood nerf if I saw them being like, we believe that the two-handed weapon should be a choice and that dual-wielding two-handed weapons should be really strong at the cost of, you're not having a shield and at the cost of your life because you're berserking. You're out there, it's like thematically, we think that makes sense. But we also understand a warrior needs to be able to have a shield and a weapon if he wants to survive. So we think the solution to this is nerfing the Giant's Blood for the people that want to get extra damage with it at the cost of their life. But we're going to bring up the one-handed maces to fulfill the role of people that want to be able to be defensive and still be able to play the game. Like, I think that would be like, then I'd be like, you know what? I understand. But like, it's not, there is Control F, one-handed maces nowhere in the patch notes. So unless it's again, we're going back to the passive tree thing here, which is like, if you look at the passive tree and it's just one-handed nodes literally everywhere that are really good, okay, well then maybe I'm like seeing the argument, but I'm not convinced that fixes it because it's kind of like the physical damage, like base amount of the weapon that's like kind of the problem. So, information still to be determined, copium.
I agree. I think you're swaying me. Yeah. It definitely does feel bad. Yeah. I mean, the Warrior Doom is strong right now. I think we've talked about all the Ascendancies. Everyone said what their league's starting, because I just want to make sure everyone says that so like the viewers go and check you out if they're following along. But yeah, Thorn's Warbringer probably.
I'm doing
Contagion.
Yeah, I am doing the the bait. I'm getting baited. Hollow Palm Chayulamug, the two biggest
Hell
baits
yeah.
of the season.
Hell yeah. Arc Stormweaver. I mean, mana. I'm doing Brain Dead, more intelligence, more mana, good. Palpatine.
Cool.
So
All
it's
right,
just going to be Darth Sidious now instead of Darth Microtransaction. So that's
basically. And when the build's bad, I'll call it Darth Hideous because it's probably going to be terrible. But I'm gonna.
There we go.
It's basically the Affliction League all over again. I did Palpatine Affliction League, and I got lucky, and Arcasurgeon was bugged, and it was doing like 20 million damage with like one Exalt fucking worth of currency. It was just free. So that was a fun league. So I'm hoping to run it back and that they just bug the fuck out of it again. And that the mana is going to be, the mana stacker is going to do 1 million damage for free. I would love to luck into that. So we're going to find out. I saw Arc got a small buff in the updated patch notes, which is now it chains more times off quality, which is kind of nice. So you get 2 more chains for a total of 11 chains, I think, which kind of, all right, I'll take it.
More chains. Cool.
All right, let's dive into end game changes. I feel like if you polled most of us beforehand, if you're like, say, one of these things is guaranteed to come in the patch, I feel like everyone was like, tower changes are coming. Like, there's no way towers don't get changed. And as far as we know, there is not a change to towers. I think I heard in one of the interviews, they said there's a tower change coming in the next major patch, but there's nothing planned for this patch. I know, Rabbit, I mean, we've talked about towers so much on this podcast. Are you concerned right now about the state of towers for the end game?
Yes. It was 100% the one thing I was most bummed about. The whole announcement of the 0.3 was just pure excitement for me. Everything was good. That is the one thing I would be leading the charge on in saying that was the one that was definitely missing, because it is definitely something that I didn't really think they would skip out on. I said before the announcement as well that I don't really care if they release a new class, a new Ascendancies or whatever, because that is, in my opinion, not what the game needed right now. And I feel differently about the tower changes. I did think that we desperately needed the tower changes because they have such big implications for everything we are doing in endgame. Because mapping, even though most people have already decided in 0.2 that mapping kind of sucks now, that is also a big portion due to the towers being bad or the towers being unfun for a lot of people. So it's definitely something that was missing. I don't think it makes the patch now less hype, or I don't think it is something to where I just cry about it for 2 weeks on Reddit. It was just something that I fully expected to happen, and I was kind of bummed we didn't get it because we were just we're effing.
Did someone's stream go down? Was it
it's
DMs
DMs
or ours?
It's DMs.
Oh no.
Looks fine to me.
Oh, they're back.
We can cut around it.
No, they're
Okay,
back.
we're back.
Everyone's saying F5 and they're good.
Yeah,
but
I see
that's
that,
Yeah.
but like,
But that's also my point about the towers just finished. Yeah, I was bummed. Nothing more. Like I'm not heartbroken or whatever, because I will still get like so much satisfaction out of this update here. It is something I 100% expected, and I was just bummed we didn't get.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, you know, I see a lot of the chat is like saying that they didn't skip it or whatever. Yeah, I mean, we know they didn't skip it. It's just, for me personally, I think that they should have had it higher on their priority list. Like, I think they should have covered it with this patch rather than being like, you know, we'll wait until later. I think it should have been something that they put higher on their list to be like, hey, you know what? This is one of the things that we're not going to ship 0.3 without. Like, you know, we're going to deprioritize something else, and then we're going to make this a priority. I mean, in general, like the end game loop or the end game in general and how it works didn't really get that much change other than like the Uber bosses, right? And yeah.
Dan, what are your thoughts on the towers? We've talked about them like so much.
Okay, so I have seen or, you know, talked to them about what their theoretical tower changes are. So I'm not gonna like, you know, break that. But what I will say is that I think it is better that the tower changes were not implemented yet, because I don't think it was fully cooked. And that's basically the conversational understanding of what I have, which is they don't want to replace one bad system with another bad system, and they want to have the in-game change be right and well received. And I think if they rushed ahead with what they had available, I think it would have been quite bad. So I have my own thoughts on towers, and we can talk about that in particular if you want, about what I think about towers. But in terms of like what the decision-making process is in order for them to like actually get towers into the game, I think they made the right choice in cutting it from what I saw, because what they would have had available, I don't think would have been the answer.
Cool. So it sounds like a good rework is coming, which is what we all want. I'm curious though, what are your actual thoughts on the current state of towers? Just your general.
I think they're bad. I like my issue with them comes to the fact that I think Jonathan's right that when you know something is coming, you have to work towards it to get it. Those stuff that is not the juiced one feels bad. I think that's correct. And so the concept of I need to get to the tower to be able to run the maps that matter, make all the maps before the tower feel bad. I think that's true. I think the problem is that's also compounded by the fact that when you get one tower and then it goes into another tower, that the now when you realize you can overlap towers, then you go through a process of like, okay, you know, maps feel good. And now I realize towers exist. And now maps that aren't towers exist feel bad. And now the second one overlapping like that feels, what's the...
We got a new PoE 2 video that just dropped. We have an in-game market browser being added to the game.
Oh,
nice.
they have it in time? They got it.
Yeah, it looks
That's
like
awesome.
it.
That's awesome.
It's actually
that is
in-game.
huge. We were literally talking about that last podcast. That my biggest gripe was they're finally getting async trade, but we weren't going to get in-game system. This is awesome, especially for the free-to-play weekend. Holy crap!
Yeah, you always forget. Like as someone like us who plays this game like way too much, and we always forget about the like a large majority of players that don't watch streams, that don't watch YouTube, that actually enjoy their lives. That is the players that I would describe them. And yeah, they don't engage in trade. You have to use the trade site. Some people haven't even linked their Path of Exile account on the website to even like log into the stuff or whatever. And that is just such a huge change. It cannot be overstated, because having it integrated as a thing in the game is just the obvious thing here.
Wow, for the free to play weekend, like I don't think we can stress how important that would have been for like converting people that like actually buy the game. So I think it's a big dub. Wow.
Do you guys think that there's gonna be a lot of people for the free to play weekend?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Do you think it's gonna be higher than initial launch?
Not even close, because like China has a server now.
Well, I'm talking about just like not. I feel like China's a little separate.
Steam.
You're
talking about player count. So like the player count on Steam from launch includes Chinese people. So if we go to Steam, there's no way to know what the Chinese server is. So like when we're talking about,
are they going to be on Steam?
Well, they were like right. I mean, how else do you have player count? They have the original client, and then you have the Steam client, and the total players is 840 something thousand. So if we're talking a free weekend and you're trying to break that number, they're going to have their own server.
Well, no,
Yeah,
I don't know if China uses Steam. Yeah, no global version of Steam.
No, what he's saying is we won't have the Chinese players who are playing in 0.1 playing on the Steam launch in 0.3. So we're going to be missing a large volume of those players statistically as a part of the Steam.
How big of a proportion of the community?
I have no clue. I have no idea.
Because I don't know. I'm convinced that it's not like a huge portion of the Steam player base. I think again, they can't play on Steam as a thing. They probably use the launcher, right? They probably use the Path of Exile.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that there's some people that can get around that, but you're right. They probably use the launcher.
Yeah. So if we're talking about Steam charts, do we think that that number is gonna be bigger or smaller?
I always think this kind of discussion is always just I really hate hearing about player numbers all the time. Like the past, I was one of the last remaining streamers in the Path of Exile 2 section, and every single day people were going "Oh my god, how could you play this game? There's 6,000 players left on Steam." Yeah, why the fuck do you care? I'm playing this right now. This numbers discussion. I get that there's records, and GGG is probably excited about breaking some sort of records or seeing but for me, just out of my side from a player, I couldn't care less if 100,000 people are playing this game, 1 million or 1,000. As long as I'm playing the game and I'm having fun with it, I just couldn't care less. I don't know.
If you want to talk about theoretically, if there's more people playing the game globally right now than in 0.1, then definitely yes. But in terms of breaking the charts, that's a tough ask. I don't think that would happen until 1.0.
Yeah, I think when they announce their numbers, it's going to be separate because China kind of has their own version of the game. So we're not going to be interacting with these players at all. So when they're pulling numbers for how did the Western world have numbers? China and the game are totally separate. So we're not going to. I would assume because of that, the Chinese people that did play on the version that we have now that are leaving are probably a big portion of players. And the fact that it's not full release, I think all of the normal players are going to come back for 1.0. You have the people that's the game's out, that can play now for the first time, and then 1.0. And there's a huge chunk of people that played 1.0 that aren't going to, or early access, that aren't ever going to play it again until it's out. The game's out. Those, they're just not going to play it again. So I would assume that the numbers are significantly lower than, the 547,000 or whatever it is for Steam for launch day.
Yeah, I agree. I am on the same boat. And I mean, I do think that the player numbers is fairly important in terms of one, just I don't know, even trade. Having more players means more people to trade with, right? Better economy. But I think it's just, it's also just in my opinion, a nice thing for GGG as well to see the numbers go up. So, yeah.
I wanted that game. I didn't mean I wanted that game. I just meant the whole number. The whole number theory is always just a little bit overrated because I'm just tired of hearing of it. I obviously want the game to succeed. That's not what I'm saying. I want the game to be successful. I want to have people to trade with. I just meant is it really that important if it's 46,000 players or is the record
It has no relevancy to how good the game is. I agree with you.
Exactly.
Let's go back to Endgame. We cut off DM during his tower talk, but let's talk about the mini Citadel bosses. I'm pretty excited about them. We're gonna have these little challenges here and there. It always comes down to how frequent they're going to be, how hard they're going to be to hunt. That there's just still so much RNG with the Atlas that they sound cool in theory, but I'm worried that I'm gonna get to Waystone 15s before even seeing them half the time. How frequent are they gonna be?
I mean, yeah.
So do you have a thought?
I would expect them to be relatively frequent. I think they're going to be at least double as frequent as Citadels, which, I mean, at least for me, last patch after they made the Citadel change, I literally had an entire week of running Citadels back to back to back to back to back. I was I called it Citadel jail because I literally, the moment I cleared a Citadel, I found another Citadel, and then I cleared another Citadel, and I found another Citadel, and not even just the individuals. I found another set. So I think that there's if it's probably gonna be like twice as common as Citadels, and if that's the case, then I think we'll be running into them fairly often. But I don't think that it's gonna be like, oh, every corner of the map is gonna have it. But you're probably gonna have to like look for it a little bit. But I don't think it's gonna be super tough. At least that's a hope.
I have no idea. I don't have any like info on it in terms of like it's throwing a dart in the dark here. In terms of like Citadels and all that, I feel like that was pretty significantly saved by the fact that they all spawn reasonably close to each other during 0.2. So now we don't have to like RNG get the wrong Citadel 3-4 times in a row. I think that when it comes to like the Atlas, for me, like I just fundamentally like the concept of the Atlas. I see a lot of people argue that they hate the Infinite. I like the World Atlas. I think that there is an argument that in its current state, there's a significant amount of like a lack of things to do or interesting things to run across, particularly because of the tower system, again, incentivizes you to like farm the same area. So you're not really like exploring. You have this thing where you're supposed to explore, but then you're also incentivized to stay. So I think there's like some contradictory nature in the design of it itself. But now that they're starting to add more and more things, like I think it's cool when you run a unique map, like a Calandra map. You're like, oh, I could get like a good, base here. Or you run into the Nameless here. I think that's cool. I love that shit. So I'm happy they're adding more to the Atlas itself, because I believe people would start to like the Atlas more as they find they're like getting more things from pushing out. Right now, pushing out, you're not really like rewarded that much other than I have to push out because I need Citadel fragments. So, and more towers. And that's just kind of where people get like annoyed by having to push. It feels like you have to just to like play the game as opposed to like you're pushing out to get good rewards. So I think as they start to, quantify the amount of density of the Atlas tree rewards itself, or the Atlas expansion itself, it'll start to feel better. So hopefully it's fairly thick. How often they are, no clue.
Yeah. Rabbit, they got the Arbiter rework coming. I'm actually pretty hyped about it. I like the difference between the normal and Uber Arbiter. Are you like how do you feel about them going away from the 4 tiers to this new version?
For me, it entirely depends on how like hard the Uber Arbiter, as what they're calling it now, is. I'm not sure. Maybe some people in the chat can correct me or whatever. Did they say it's basically going to be the T4 Arbiter?
Yeah, so how it's gonna, so from what I can tell, right, if you look at the rewards, it says the rewards from the first one are gonna be the same as T4 Arbiter. So regular Arbiter is gonna have the same rewards as T4 Arbiter. So I would assume that regular Arbiter is the same as T4 Arbiter.
Okay,
I don't think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way. They're just juicing up the normal rewards, and we're gonna have better rewards for the old version. That's what I'm guessing.
Because 32 million HP on entry-level Arbiter is going to slap people in the face. And then while they were showing that part in the video, they're also talking about, like, we believe that there's a gap. Like, it's too hard. They're talking about being too hard to, like, push Pinnacle content, and then they're going to start Tier 1 basically as Tier 4. Kind of doesn't make sense to me. So, like, that would actually be opposite of what they're saying. So I would assume Uber Arbiter is Tier 4, and Tier 1 is now, the normal version that's getting the rewards. And then if you look at the video footage, unless it's just a test and the numbers are not right, it calculates out to like 6, maybe 7 million HP from the video from where they're doing the damage on it. So it's like, if the new first one is Tier 4 and it's 32 million HP, I don't know what they're fighting then, because like the HP that they're showing in their update is like 6 or 7 million. So unless there's a quest version of it, which would be cool, which they didn't mention, then it has to be the Tier 1 version is what you're doing as a normal, and the rewards are congruent to the Tier 4, and the Uber is now the Tier 4. Or hopefully it's not just a name only, that it's actually an Uber variant, has new mechanics. That's what I'm hoping for, that it's actually a harder fight, new mechanics, not just a one-shot fest. But I will find out.
That's what my brain told me it was.
Yeah. That is exactly what my mind went to, because when I first heard it, I was like, oh, they called it Uber Arbiter. It better be... I know. We should always like stop ourselves from like comparing it to PoE1, and just because something is named in a certain way in PoE1, it shouldn't mean that just because it's Uber Arbiter, oh yeah, I'm expecting Uber Shaper now or whatever. But if in my mind, if it's called Uber Arbiter, it better be harder than T4 Arbiter, because I am still like very not very sad, but it is definitely still something that I am really longing for in the game. and that is harder pinnacle content, however you might want to call it. If the pinnacle content like this is the way it is intended to be, that's totally fine. But I want actual boss fights, and maybe this might be super copium. Maybe the Uber Arbiter is just that they also thought, oh yeah, having like the biggest boss and the most desirable boss in the game be a one-shot fest, even on T4, is not what we really intended to be. So now we are making an actual Uber Arbiter here. That would be my wish. That would be my wish for this update, that we have actually something where I am like actually doing a fight for 3 minutes, dodging abilities, like doing mechanics and whatever. That is something I still really want in the game, because that is something I think is always just going to be fun. Yes, it will not be able for everyone maybe to do that type of content, but that's fine. We already talked about that. The game shouldn't be balanced around everyone. The game should offer everything that everyone would like to want. I should be satisfied with what I'm doing in doing like the hardest content in the game or whatever I've been doing. At the same time, the guy who's not after that should also have fun. And maybe like T1 Arbiter is always gonna be like, oh no, damn, nice achievement here. But yeah, I really hope that Uber Arbiter is actually Uber Arbiter, because I do feel like the new like side bosses and stuff, that's just a placeholder in my opinion. For stuff that is about to come. I think they said in the interview, this patch was here to fix everything, basically, how they said it. Next patch is going to be the endgame patch and the druid patch. That is how I understood them in the interview with ZiggyD. Next patch is actually going to focus on the endgame content, and I fully expect for more bosses, actual bosses.
Well, I mean, let's be real. Like, if we're taking, like, I actually think that the problem is that not that the bosses aren't hard enough. I actually think, Arbiter of Ash is a relatively hard boss. It's the hardest boss in the game. But the problem is the top end of our builds are just so strong that we just one-shot them. So I think, like, rather than we need harder content, it's just more of like we need to stop being able to one-shot bosses with every single build. Like, I think one-shotting bosses should be possible in the game, but I just don't think it should be as easy to achieve that level of damage on these bosses to make them trivial. I that's what I feel.
Because the meta for me is like, okay, if I'm playing hardcore SSF and I want to do Arbiter, I just wait till my build one-shots them, which I know it will. So I just wait, and then it's like, okay, I'm just going to save my fragments. Let me get like a better weapon and get, the gems and shit I need. And I just walk in and just kill him before he does anything. And like, that's like, okay, game over. And like, if we're keeping it 100, that's the same shit that I bitched about in Diablo 4 that everyone bitched about, which is like, you just like hit the button, spawn the boss, kill him immediately, hit the button, spawn the boss, kill him immediately. Like, the bosses don't exist in Diablo 4 outside of like launch Lilith, which everyone still moaned about, but actually was a fight though. So, yeah, I'm same place with you there. And then people moan about like phasing being a thing and like, oh, I hate phasing in boss fights. Like, okay, yeah, fair enough. But like, you need a way to actually have the boss fight last longer than 10 seconds. Like, you need to be able to design around that. And what was funny is in 0.2, our damage was supposed to go down. It was like top end, 500k DPS a second. I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. That means boss fights, 30 million, like, 500k DPS per second. It's at least a minute then, right? For tier, like, it's a full-on minute big dick build. But, I mean, it's really like 2 seconds. Like, blood, like, it's arguably the biggest pop of damage we've had the entire game. I mean, my Bloodhub rank killed everything immediately. I've seen these Thundering Fall builds like literally one shot and shit too. So yeah, the top end is a little nutty right now for sure. It's weird because it's like, I feel like the top ends is like crate. Like, I feel like the bottom end of stuff at the moment in 0.2 is like, there's a lot of stuff that's just in the crater. It's like completely dog shit. And then the top end is like absolutely out of control, insane. And the problem is like trying to actually map with the dog shit builds feels horrible. And then you have the higher end bossing with the good builds feels bad. So it's like, you need to take that end down. You may need to add build variety and somehow make it where these things can map, and mapping feels good without destroying the, one-shotting bot. It's a pretty hard challenge. I don't envy them their position, honestly, because trying to get the numbers just right is like, I wouldn't know how to do it.
I mean, crit damage is getting nerfed across the board, so that might help a little bit with the top end. We'll see. And yeah, just hopefully that kind of helps address it.
Yeah. All right, well, diving into our last topic, and then we'll get wrapped up here. So let's talk about currency. We got a bunch of new currency, and I know I just trade my currency. I don't ever craft it. But DM, I know you're playing Trade League this time around, but you're normally a hardcore solo self-found or solo self-found type player. What are your thoughts on the new currency that's getting added? Are you very excited about it?
Well, yeah, I mean, crafting exists, but not in like a very big form at the moment. So it's basically, identifying with extra steps. Somebody said one time, and I thought that seems about right to me. So I think it's badly needed to get extra crafting, and I like the new omens. I hope they're not like Whittling, where I see 2 of them ever, and that, you can kind of get your hands on them. But I do understand some of these are exceptionally powerful, and we are technically getting some power creep in some regards. So in terms of like the quantity of these we'll be receiving, I'm kind of curious to see where that is. I am a little bit curious about the whole, like, every time we unveil something, we have to go to the abyss and watch the dude take like a bath real quick. So I think that's like a little interesting there. I kind of figured he would be going to the hideout at some point. But right. I think it's, I think it's probably got to be rarer or something like that. It's a little confusing there. In terms of like the flawless and perfect and all that, like exile orbs, etc. Love to see that personally, because exile orbs at the moment are like a big gamble and completely worthless, but yet you need a bajillion of them because you're constantly slamming. So it's like trying to add some value to those. And everyone's always like, well, just add a sink and all that. It's like, I don't know, like, guys, we're talking astronomical numbers here. So it's thousands of these things to a divine, and then thousands of divine to a mirror. So we're talking ridiculous numbers here, right? And so having like a higher valuation version of these kind of makes sense to me. I thought Recombinator was actually like pretty strong. I'm surprised there wasn't any changes to it, but like, I guess we're going to have Recombinator again, which is cool. I think the exceptional base is interesting, but we don't have splits. So like being able to have like the 28, 30%, et cetera, with no splits means these bases are going to be wildly expensive. So I also am curious on how rare those are, because having extra sockets huge for a lot of things, especially on the uniques, right? And then we have the percentage on like weapons is insane, and also means like energy shield's getting better again, I guess, in a way, right? So I'm super curious to see how expensive these bases are actually going to be, and it's going to be great to watch people like Sanctify or Vow these hyper expensive items with 30% base, they perfectly crafted, and then have it become dog shit when it doesn't hit right. It's going to be great. I just watched your bow clip there, Dead Rabbit, on the short popped up to me of doing that over and over, and somehow you got lucky. But yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting. The crafting is obviously a W. I mean, those are all my thoughts on it. But like, obviously, we needed more crafting additions. Like, it's pretty linear in its current iteration. I don't know. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, before we move on to other thoughts, I think some people in chat are confused about what you meant by splits.
Oh, yeah, sure. So, okay. So, a split is something from PoE 1, which they're taking. And by the way, the reason we're even referencing PoE 1 is it has 2 in the name, and the first one's still relevant for purposes of the conversation. On top of it is the concept that they're taking, like, exceptional with the higher percentage base, or the superiors, I suppose, with the higher bases are from PoE 1 as well. Like, you can roll them up higher. And the reason that splits are so important is because you can get a base as a drop, or you can buy one and you can split it through beast crafting, which gives you 2 of the same base, or it will like split the affixes, etc. So you can basically do it one time down the middle, and it becomes a split. And for that reason, you can sort of have additional bases, and it helps liquidize the amount of bases you have on the market. So that way most bases you buy are probably going to be split bases that somebody split, and they're still really expensive. Okay. So for that reason, not having splits and having them only drop as normal, and also kind of the way PoE 2 works, where there's no like scouring orbs, etc., means it's very easy to brick them, and it's also, they are even rarer. So because of that, the logic of these things are going to be super expensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in a way, it kind of reminds me of like, well, it's this feature in Diablo 4, I think. It's not ancient gear, but it's like when you have ancient gear, you gotta have like perfect ancient gear or something like that has like extra like super high stats. I don't know if
greater affixes.
Yeah, greater affixes.
Greater affixes. Yeah.
I was never a huge fan of greater affixes because it always made me feel like it's just another tier of equipment that I wouldn't want to use, like the worst ones. But I don't know how it's going to get implemented in here, and maybe it's not going to be similar.
I kind
I
of
know
talked
you're
about this.
big on it, Rabbit.
I kind of talked about this on my stream. I will first respond to that whole thing. Like the exceptional bases and stuff is obviously going to be very, very nice, especially for someone like me who's like very deep into a whole thing of crafting the absolute highest tier items. And the new bases are definitely going to be the key piece to actually crafting the best items in the game, because no one is going to consider an item, no matter what's on there, a top percent item without being on an exceptional base. I think what you were alluding to just now, when I played Diablo 3, there was a thing in Diablo 3 when it came into the game, the primal uniques.
Yeah. I think it
called.
was Diablo 3 actually. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
in Diablo 3, at some point, they did like a change where it introduced the primal uniques. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of what we have now with the uniques being able to be exceptional. So I will be very, very eager to see how rare they are actually going to be. Because I kind of feel like in Diablo 3, at least as how I remember it, and it's like more than 10 years ago, but when I played Diablo 3 and those primals were introduced, it kind of made the game a little bit weird on the loot collecting side, because every time you dropped a unique, you were kind of like, oh, it's not a primal.
Exactly.
Get it out of here. And I don't know how to feel about that just now. So it's yet to be seen a little bit on the whole thing about exceptional uniques, because how rare are they actually going to be? Because maybe it can lead to it. On the one side, it can lead to the effect of, oh my god, I found an exceptional Astromantis. On the other side, it could lead to, oh, I found an Astromantis and it's not exceptional. You know?
Yeah.
And that is still yet to be seen.
I mean, surely it's not going to be that big of a deal for the uniques, because the quality is only really like improving, like the base, the base.
Well, there's
stat
the
of it,
extra
right?
socket too,
One more
right?
socket is
Yeah, the
kinda
socket's
huge.
the socket's a fair point. Yeah,
Very
absolutely.
huge.
Yeah.
So like Morior with an extra socket, if that's possible, that is
sounds
insane. There's
insane.
quite a few. Like there are many more options. Just a glove spot, like you can have Hand of Wisdom in action now with 3 sockets,
Or
if
boots
that is
with 3
if that is the
sockets for
case,
extra movement
with
speed.
attack speed, extra movement speed in boots. Like any helmet spot with all the new socketables that we've gotten here, like a lot of the uniques in exceptional form, especially within your socket, it's gonna be pretty massive. So yeah, we'll be seeing that. But overall, I think the whole crafting changes, obviously, like we already said, it's a big W in all things regarding that. It's just a lot of unknowns right now, because we just don't know how rare is an exceptional exalted orb. I know Jonathan in the interview said that a perfect chaos orb is going to be more rare than a divine, for example. That's like the only metric we have right now. But overall, we just cannot know. It might be that we find rare, like the perfect exalt orbs at every corner again. And so to actually have like a clear opinion on that and how it's going to impact the crafting, like in the minute details, is going to be very, very hard. I just think overall it's obviously a good thing. Although I am a little bit worried about the case of this making it a little bit more confusing to some players, because obviously there's just now a shit ton of more currency that might look very, very close to the other one. But yeah, that's just something that will eventually creep into the game. People always say PoE1 is bloated, and a lot of people are now saying, yeah, this is the first signs of PoE2 getting bloated. So yeah, we'll just end up seeding. But crafting, good.
Yeah, having more crafting
just so we get the full
options.
spec. Go ahead. Oh yeah. Well, just so we get the full spectrum, I don't care about currency. I give all my currency to Alva to get better currency to give to people for gear. So that is how I use currency. Maybe now though that we have more tiers of currency, I will feel more inclined to start slamming them into my gear. But yeah, I'm the Alva guy. I just give her all my exalts for divines, and then I trade those divines for better gear. So
I mean,
I'm semi hyped.
I don't really care as much about the crafting on the high end. I just care about the crafting on the low and mid end. And then with essences and like, you know, hopefully more common omens here and there that are more powerful. That means that we're more incentivized and feel more likely to craft into gear that we just get randomly and drop. It's like, oh, you know, this is pretty good, as you know, especially during the campaign. I have options to make this better and make it, you know, instead of just being like, I'm just going to save this for later. Like I want there to be more options for mid-tier crafting, and it seems like this patch is going to be able to give you that.
Cool. Well, it was fun having you on, DM. Really appreciate hanging out with us. I mean, this patch is going to be excited. I'm super hyped to see what builds you come up with. I mean, you're playing all 18 Ascendancies. I assume one of those is going to be Thorns, so I'll definitely be checking that one out.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, I did I did
to,
Thorns once already. That's a once in a lifetime. Like, I suffered through that one, and then, you know, I don't know about Thorns again. I might leave that one to you, Cal.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, man. I mean, we know we're gonna have your max roll page linked below, since it sounds like you're gonna be posting your guides there. But like, you give your shout outs, you know, whatever your sign off type thing.
Sure. Thanks for having me. You should follow Dead Rabbit, Miso Soup, and Cal Torek, as they have phenomenal videos and information and have contributed massively to the Subathon. There you go.
Thank you. I mean,
go ahead, Miso.
Darth microtransaction, right? For anybody who is not, you know, who's watching the VOD, DM, go follow him. Darth. I mean, I'm sure all of you guys know who Darth microtransaction is. Darth microtransaction, Twitch, YouTube. Do you post X, Twitter?
I should post on Twitter.
Okay.
But I'm known to do some shit posting for sure.
Yeah. Go follow him there. Me, MisoXShiru, stream every single day, twitch.tv/MisoXShiru, and upload, at least right now, I'm uploading daily. So go follow me there as well. And I upload guide videos, whatever it might be, fun little commentary videos. Come check me out.
Hello, I'm me. I'm here. I should post every day as well with my mouth on my stream. I do that, I think, every day. I don't have Twitter, so I have to have an outlet to shitpost in my stream. So that's what I do usually. I'm playing ED Contagion for League Start. I'm super fucking excited for Friday. I couldn't be more excited. I know I sound like whiny sometimes because I am very, very passionate for what I actually want to have in the game or whatever. I am so incredibly excited for the future of this game. I love this game. Yeah, this is my midlife crisis Diablo 2 now. Played Diablo 2 for 20 years. Now it's time for 20 years of
We almost went
2.
the whole podcast without you saying Diablo 2, and you got it in at the end, man. We mentioned D3 and D4, and you had to sneak in the D2 there at the end.
I didn't
You
even
almost
realize I
made it,
haven't
bro.
talked about Diablo 2 on this episode.
Well, now, man, you made it.
I'm so happy I did now, though. How could we have gone a full episode without Diablo 2 mentioned? That is...
We almost made it.
The drinking game just died almost. Holy shit. Okay, yeah, that's my plug. Thank you.
All right, but thanks, boys.
I'm Cal Torek. Yeah, I should post on this podcast every week, trying to convince y'all dweebs to play Thorns, and I'll be streaming over the weekend and making Thorns guides. But thanks to DM coming on. We'll, you know, if you're new to the show, we make build guides and we showcase builds to the people in the community. So thanks for hanging out, DM, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Goodbye. Thanks for hanging.